Hey guys, King of Charmanders. Today I will be your judge, jury, and your analyst. And so for those of you that were like, okay, you know what, King of Charmanders doesn't have a really good video for you for Go Battle Night, it's not really going to affect you, I lied. So PvPoke just came out and released the data for the top performing teams on PvPoke.com for the past few days. So this is the latest data as far as team goes for Great League in Season 8. So, I'm going to run through the top 5 teams. Now, as you see here, I'm not going to go over team number 2 because in team number 2, it actually features Pidgeot. Since Pidgeot is banned, I'm not going to put it on there. So, I'll be analyzing the top 5 with the exception of top 2 because Pidgeot is banned. But hopefully, these 5 teams will help you out for Go Battle Night. Anyways, without further ado, let's get started. So, the first team features Bastiodon, Medicham, and Superior. Bastiodon is your ever-famous and fabled leader. I hate Bastiodon. Anyways, for those that use it, I have no hate towards Bastiodon. Poor Wallface over here, it just isn't my best friend. It's killed me a lot. Anyways, this does feature Bastiodon lead, Medicham as your safe switch, and Superior as your closer. I'm pretty sure Medicham XL is the safe for this, or you just sacrifice Bastiodon outright. However, you don't want to sack an entire Bastiodon in the lead. Yeah, you don't want to sack an entire Bastiodon because whatever comes out is going to have a ton of energy and kill you. So, again, this is Medicham safe switch, and I'm thinking Superior is the closer for this team. This features Superior with Leaf Tornado. So with Leaf Tornado, this team is very interesting because Superior, I approve of not using Aerial Ace for Superior. It's such a terrible move that if you have Leaf Tornado and you manage to get the debuff, because Leaf Tornado is essentially like Octazooka, which can minus attack by 2 stages by 50%. So if you do get the debuff with Superior Leaf Tornado, you could flip a bunch of matchups, which makes it really, really good for Go Battle League and Great League. A lot of people have been using that strategy, and it's actually been done to me, so I'm like, yay. I've died to it a few times, so you can... I can, from personal experience and dying to it, I can say that the snake... It's not Shenron because it's not a dragon type, so if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, unfortunately, that is not the case. It's a Superior, but it's really good. So this team has really great coverage, obscene amount of bulk. Well, when you put XL Medicham plus Bastiodon together, it's a very bulky team, but Superior itself is also very bulky as well. Not super safe, unfortunately. Medicham, safe switching into Medicham can be good, but again, Medicham safe switch has fallen off a little bit with how the meta has kind of shipped out, but it's still really, really powerful. But this team does have great coverage as well as consistency. As you see here against most of the meta, it's very, very strong. You do have double coverage in Galarian Stunfisk, as you see here, just in case you happen to pop it in the lead. Unfortunately, Galarian Stunfisk is featured in one of these teams that I'm about to show you for the top 5. So having double counters against it is the standard practice. Other than that, as you see here, this team covers each other very, very well. Your overall only core breaker is going to be Gliscor. No, it's going to be, yeah, I wouldn't really worry about Gliscor too much. Like, likely you won't see it. Other than that, some teams that can give you a problem are Medicham as well as Deoxys Defense. Deoxys Defense does pretty well against Bastiodon just because it can beat you down. However, what you can do against Deoxys Defense and Azumarill is just sacrifice Bastiodon, then send in Medicham and Superior to clean up. So there are different plays you can do with Bastiodon. Of course, if you do see a fighter lead like Medicham, make sure you safe switch out. Either mirror with Medicham and then realign it with Superior, try to take it out, and hope Bastiodon down shields can take out the back row. But this team is very strong. 627, a little high on the threat score side. 627, well, not really high, but like kind of semi-high. 27 in the 600s, it's actually pretty low. Actually, and not... Actually, 627, that's not bad. Never mind, I lied. King of Charmanders is wrong. It's not that bad. It's honestly not that bad. But this team is very powerful. And of course, the Bastiodon Medicham core is still here to stay. And it's still really, really strong in Great League. Alright, next up we got Drifblim as your lead, G-Fisk as your safe switch, and Venusaur as your closer. So I think Drifblim's in the lead to pretty much catch the poison type archetype. Most poison Drifblim, if you don't know, against Nidoqueen and Nidoqueen, you'll effectively wall the unholy heck out of Shadow Nidoqueen if you line it up against a Drifblim. So Drifblim essentially hard counters the new Poison archetype really, really hard, actually. So it's a fantastic lead for this meta. Icy Wind also allows you to debuff, and Shadow Paw, of course, hits like a truck. The last team rated at 544, this is at 547, so the teams are very similar. So teams 2 through 4 have a very similar rating, so they're really, really strong. As you see here, this is pretty much Galarian Stunfisk Safe Switch, and then of course Venusaur, the ever-powerful closer. And of course Drifblim lead, I'm guessing to catch the poison type. I like the poison types a lot because it will wall Beedrill as well as the Nidoqueen family and Nidoking. As you see here, this team has great coverage, safety, and consistency. Not a lot of bulk. Unfortunately, Drifblim isn't. Well, Drifblim does have some bulk. Venusaur is what really compromises team's bulk, but it still does very, very well. Drifblim is also fantastic lead against the fighters, as you see here. Medicham can give you an issue. You can also do some sweet. You can try to do some sweet plays versus G-Fisk. You can sack Drifblim altogether, Icy Wind G-Fisk to death, and then send in Venu to clean it up, or there's different things you can do. As you see here, Drifblim is insanely powerful. Drifblim is also able to beat Altaria in the 2-shield straight Icy Wind, so just keep that in mind. The hardest matchup you will probably have is probably Jellicent. You can beat Jellicent, but but it's going to be a very iffy, matchup. Make sure you get your extra hexes in, and you call the baits correctly, but that can go the Jellicent matchup can go in either way, just because both of your Shadow Balls will hit obscenely hard. So just keep that in mind, be very careful. Drifblim, this team is also Sableye. If you see Sableye, it can give you a rough time because, of course, Drifblim is weak against it. And, of course, Sableye is a beast with foul play. So just keep that in mind. Be very careful. So, not saying that you can't beat it, but this team is very, very... But as you see here, this team is very, very strong. Does very well in the 2-shield. So, Drifblim's a really great lead, in my opinion, for this cup. And I think it is a top 10 lead in Season 8 Great League. As you see here, there's not a lot of teams that actually beat this entire, there really isn't a lot of teams that beat this entire core, as you see here. Manabus can give you a problem with Drifblim, but all you really have to do is, if you lose the lead with Drifblim, safe switch into Galarian Stunfisk, and then try to make something happen. Unless you see a Skarmory, then just sack Drifblim altogether and try to line up with G-Fisk with shield advantage, as you see here. Make sure you don't get hit by a burp. But basically, Galarian Stunfisk is your safe switch, and then you close out with Venusaur. That's the general Banopsis team. But Drifblim is a very great lead with a 642 threat score. That's kind of like mid-tier. 700's like the high, 650's like the mid, and 600 and below is low. But it's okay. As you see here, your only real, your 3 things that pretty much run through this team aren't great. And Drifblim, again, does wonders in the 2-shield against a lot of combinations. So it's not a bad Pokemon to use as your lead. Not a surprise that this team is 547 and is one of the top 5 teams in Season 8 Great League. And for the next team, we have Galarian Stunfisk, Sableye, and Venusaur. Yay, Pancakes! This is a super generic team, so 548 rating, again, very similar. 2 through 4 do have similar ratings, so this team has a very similar rating, popping at 548.18. So it's good. G-Fisk and Venusaur is this is very generic. G-Fisk lead, Sableye safe switch, and of course Venusaur to close out. Very popular combination. Well, G-Fisk and Venusaur are a very popular combination with a Sableye safe switch, and it does really well in Season 8 Go Battle League. As you see here, this team is incredibly safe. Sableye is one of the most powerful safe switches, especially if you do have an XL, so it's an absolute destroyer and a beast. Not a lot of bulk, just because in this, Venusaur pretty much is what compromises the bulk of this team in a sense. Just Venusaur isn't the bulkiest thing in the universe. However, it does have great coverage as well as consistency. I really like this team, and like I said, Sableye, in my opinion, especially if it's an XL, is incredibly powerful and possibly the most powerful safe switch. As you see here, this team is very, very strong against the overall meta. Medicham can fall to Sableye if you lose the lead safe switch in Medicham, Sableye, and Sableye can do very, very well. It can either take switch with you if you are able to return through shields, then you can safely foul play down in a lot of scenarios, or you can possibly set up Venusaur and Galarian Stunfisk to farm down and take the match. Very, very strong, very good team. As you see here, it's able to do well against a lot of combinations. Again, generic Sableye safe switch, and then you have Venusaur and Stunfisk to close out. Overall, this team does have one big potential threat, which happens to be Obstagoon. Obstagoon can give you a bit of a problem, just because Obstagoon does give Sableye a little bit of an issue, just because counters do neutral damage against Sableye's Ghost and Dark type. Well, it doesn't do neutral damage, I lied. Ghost double resist, so it's resisted, but Obstagoon does have Night Slash, so again, have to be careful on that one. But it's not too bad, to be honest with you. Obstagoon, like, you can beat Obstagoon. It's not completely unbeatable, but if it boosts, you die. As with any other. If you boost, you're pretty much dead. But other than that, fighting types can also give you... That's why, as you see here, Medicham as a lead is also iffy. Venusaur can also be a rough lead as well. However, if you are able to Earthquake 2 shields, you can take out Venusaur straight Rock Slide after that and essentially control the match. So again, Venusaur isn't necessarily a bad lead if you are able to Earthquake through shields. Other than that, G-Fisk does have a hard time against things like Azu, grass types in general, and of course fighters, so just keep that in mind. But if you played a team similar to this before, you know Galar and Stunfisk is a beast, and this is a pretty generic team. With a semi-high threat score, but a lot of your big threats you won't really see a lot, and again, because this team's pretty popular, it's really not that hard to run. Safe Switch into Sableye, and then we either win switch or lose switch, and then hopefully G-Fisk and Venusaur can close out with shield advantage or energy lead. Alright, now team number 2 features a 548 rating. This is again, teams 2 through 4 have very similar ratings. And this features Bastiodon, Medicham, and Meganium. So, this Medicham features an Ice Punch, Power Up Punch Medicham. So, Medicham is going to be your safe switch. I like Medicham with Power Up Punch and Ice Punch because with Power Up Punch, you beat Skarmory in the 2 shields. You also beat Altaria to 2 shield straight Ice Punch. So, Medicham is very powerful as a safe switch with that combination. So, again, the Bastiodon Medicham core is incredibly powerful, and it's no stranger that Bastiodon plus Medicham and something in the back, which would be Meganium for this team, is very, very good. As you see here, this team has incredible bulk. When you put Bastiodon and Medicham together, guess what? You get a really bulky team. Also, the Bastiodon Medicham core, Meganium is also very bulky, so team has a lot of bulk. And it's also very consistent. When you put a Community-on move like Meganium, I have such a hard time. Please, excuse me. Saying Meganium is hard these days because, you know, they had the superior one, now I have a Meganium one. So Meganium with Frenzy Plant Earthquake has great coverage and it does a ton of damage. This team's gonna do a lot of damage. Again, not a lot of safety just because the Bastion, just because pretty much Meganium teams or like just Venusaur or slash Meganium teams in general are prone to getting trapped by flyers. So just keep that in mind. But this team does have great coverage against the overall meta. Medicham can give you a problem, as you see here. If Medicham revs up, it can give Meganium a very hard time. So Medicham is pretty much your biggest threat. Take out Medicham at all costs with this team. Medicham will be your safe switch, so if you lose lead, again, just safe switch in the Medicham, and Medicham with Power Up Punch and Ice Punch covers a lot of archetypes, so hopefully you're able to take switch. As you see here, this team is really good against a lot of overall meta and can do really well against your opponent. You could either win the lead against Bastiodon or sacrifice Bastiodon, just don't do it against the fighter or G-Fisk. And then you can send Meganium and Medicham to sweep. As you see here, Medicham can give you a big issue, so can Nidoqueen. Bastiodon unfortunately doesn't do well against Nidoqueen just because Nidoqueen does reserve Smackdown. Ground resists rocks, so you're going to throw a lot of rocks and it's not going to be very good. Also, rocks is resisted by Medicham. Again, Medicham can give you issues. Swampert can also give you an issue as well. You could Power Punch Swampert to death, however, if Swampert does end up in the back against your Bastion, it's going to suck a lot. Of course, Meganium can take out Swampert, so it's not super bad, but you just kind of like play the realignment game, and hopefully you come out on top. This team has a threat score of 641, so kind of on the mid-range, but the Bastiodon, as you see, the Bastiodon Medicham core is here to stay. It's been extremely powerful since Season 6 ago Battle League. In Season 7 it was great, and in Season 8, as you see here, very, very strong. Again, Bastiodon lead, Medicham safe switch, and Meganium closer. Really great team, and I think it'll still serve you very well in Season 8 Go Battle League 4th Go Battle Night. Alright, and last but not least, we have the most powerful team, which actually is pretty nuts. This team features the ever-powerful Nidoqueen, which got buffed recently, Shadow Nidoqueen, as well as a Jellicent safe switch, and Scrafty as a closer. When you see Jellicent with Ice Beam Shadow Ball, it's a very, very powerful safe switch, and does really, really well. and I'm actually using Scrafty as a closer, so I've been using Scrafty as closer, and it's actually been doing really, really well for me as well. As you see here, again, Nidoqueen lead, Jellicent Safe Switch, and Scrafty as a closer, which actually ranks at 588, which is a whole 30 points, like more than 30 plus points below the team below it. So it's actually really, really strong. And I approve of this team. Like I said, Scrafty closer personally has been working very well for me with the overall like steel types in the back, or just even like taking on the Umbreon / the Sableye safe switches. And again, Jellicent is a very powerful safe switch. With Nidoqueen's buff, this team has taken the top of the ranking so far at number 1. So if you really like Nidoking safe switch, it's extremely powerful. So as you see here, we have good coverage, good bulk. It has great safety consistency. So statistically, it doesn't look as good as other, like, it's not as high statistically as a lot of the other teams. But I can say for a fact that, like, this team's pretty powerful, like, just by the order of things. So I really think it does deserve. A lot of number 1 teams don't have, like, A's across the board. I can speak this from experience because I've created a number 1 team before, and it doesn't have A's across the board. So it's a very skill-based, it's very skill, like, this team will still carry you very well, even though on paper it doesn't look very good compared to everything else. But against the overall meta, this team is very, very powerful. As you see here, Shadow Nidoqueen actually gives Medicham a really hard time in the 2-shield with Poison Fang. It can do a ton of damage. Also, it can do a ton of damage over time. So Nidoqueen Shadow against Medicham or even G-Fisk isn't really bad. The thing about Galarian Stunfisk is if you get hit by an Earth Power by a Shadow Nidoqueen, it hurts a lot. So Stunfisk, even though it's able to Earthquake Shadow Nidoqueen to death, you have to be very, very careful against Nidoqueen, especially for the fact that Nidoqueen can outpace you to Earth Power with its new buffed Poison Jab. So just keep that in mind. Nidoqueen's a beast and actually can cover a wide variety of the meta. It can cover a wide variety of the meta, especially if it's able to get that Earth Power off, or if you're skillfully able to use Poison Fang in combination with Earth Power, because Poison Fang debuffs your opponent by 1 stage, and then you could Earth Power to death. So it's really strong. As you see here, this reason why this team isn't like the greatest thing in the world is just because, as you see, there's a lot of things that can kill it. Drifblim, if you saw my mention for number 4, can actually wall Shadow Nidoqueen. Drifblim does resist poison as well as Earth Power, so you have to switch. You don't have a choice. Along with that, as you see here, Sableye, basically Ghost typings can give you a nightmare, can be a little bit of a nightmare because they will resist you. Alolan Ninetales honestly isn't too bad. You can Poison Fang it to death. So again, if you look at the 2-shield doesn't really reflect this one. As you see, results are taken from the 0s and the 1s. So that's why you have to run a Matrix against your lead. I've already ran Shadow Nidoqueen for a bit and researched it a bit, so it's actually really good in the 2-shield. Really great lead, and in combination with this team will serve you very, very well. So there's a lot of ways you can play out of your losing matchups like this. Minus things like Drifblim, or I would say like Sableye, or yeah, minus Drifblim or Sableye, because Ghost types can give you a bit of a problem because they do resist poison. So anything that resists poison, like Steel, and that makes sure, like Steel types, like Bastiodon, etc., you gotta Earth Power that Bastiodon to death, man. Other than that, make sure you be aware that Drifblim and Sableye can give you a very hard time in the lead. So just keep that in mind. But otherwise, this team is very strong. It's high on the threat scoreboard, but like I mentioned before, it is the number 1 team statistically, and just on first look, and just because of trying out Nidoqueen and Scrafty, this team can be very powerful. So if you have Shadow Nidoqueen, you've been using it, I can tell you this team will probably do very, very well for you. Not only because it's statistically powerful, but because, like, having practiced and simmed and researched both, like, these individual mons, this team will serve you very, very well in Season 8. Especially for Go Battle Line. Again, it's Nidoqueen in the lead, Jellicent, Safe Switch, and Scrafty as your closer. Really, really great team, and serves as the most powerful team, again, for Season 8 Great League as of right now. And that's all, guys. I hope these teams do help you out. I know it's been last minute. However, it's Great League is still out for another, like, week and a half. These are the most powerful top teams as of right now, as far as trading sim data goes. So, statistically, these teams are the most powerful one and the latest and greatest list you're gonna get. Again, please do not shoot the messenger. I literally got this data or figured it, or like this data literally dropped like, I would say like an hour ago or less than an hour ago. So I made this video as fast as I possibly could and tried to get it out before Go Battle Night, just in case you guys were looking and wondering what teams you might be able to use. Because I like data and I like hard data, and this is hard data, and these teams will help you climb in Go Battle Night if you haven't gone through yet. Other than that, even if Go Battle Night's already done for you, these teams will still do very, very well because, like I said, it's still Great League for another week and a half. So we got Great League for a little bit. So hopefully this data does help you out. Again, these teams are very, very strong and will help you climb the rankings into, well, let's see. Well, yeah, you can get your ELO pretty dang early. So hopefully these teams do help you get the W's you need so you can quickly get your ELO and start climbing the legend. If you would like so, please like and subscribe. As soon as something drops or I realize something, I make sure to go as fast as I can, put together and edit a video, and make sure you guys have the latest and greatest data so that you guys are ready for the current season and for future seasons. So, again, if you would do me a huge favor, please subscribe. On the bottom right, there's this little box that says subscribe. If you could put your mouse over that, it will pop up the subscription box. Easy! 1, 2, 3, and all you have to do is click on it and poof, you will subscribe. So, if you did that already, I really do appreciate you. I also have a new Discord, so if you would like to join that, please put that. I will be answering questions there as well. Otherwise, you can comment on the video here and I can answer here as well. So, let me know if you have any questions. Join the Discord and please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It's totally free and it really helps the channel out a lot. Appreciate your guys' support. Good luck on your Go Battle League sets. Good luck on Go Battle Night. And good luck on Great League. Because like I said, even if Go Battle Night is over for you, these teams will still help you because Great League's going to be out for another week and a half. So, again, good luck on your sets. And I will see you guys on the next video.